We'll talk about it. Greetings, children of the screen. Your friendly neighborhood nerds come here once again, and today we're going to be talking about The Crow 2024. But did you know that, like, if you buy these little bottles in the 12 packs, the ones that come in like the mini bars at hotels, that you buy 12 packs of these, it will actually be more alcohol than is in your normal bottle, and it's going to be cheaper. Now, the downside to that is that it's a lot harder to keep track of exactly how drunk you're getting, because you just look at it and you just go, oh yeah, sure, fuck it, I'm good, I can, and then you just keep going, and then when finally you realize, like, oh wow, this is the last one. Anyway, but you know what, that's future nerd scum, editing nerd scum's problem, and right now, this nerd scum doesn't give a fuck, because I don't really want to be talking about this, but people keep asking me about it, so we're going to talk about it. And you might wonder, if you're new to the channel, obviously if you've been here a while, then you're either one of the people asking me to talk about it, or you know why people are asking me to talk about it. But if you're relatively new to the channel, then I'm going to put the card for my Crow playlist up there. Keep in mind, some of those videos are very old from the early days of my channel, and they're not great, but it'll give you a better understanding. If you don't want to go through that, though, I submit this evidence to you. Alright, just basic starters. The Crow is supposed to be the Crow trilogy, but I jerry-rigged it because, like, I actually have all of them in here because for some reason this 3-pack was cheaper than buying the Crow Wicked Prayer on its own, and fuck that, I'm not paying $20 for the goddamn Crow Wicked Prayer, you can eat a goddamn dick. Then you have all of these. So obviously you got your original James O'Barr's The Crow. Then the rest of these are technically from the printing from IDW because they were the most easily available, but here you have pretty much the entire McFarlane run, and then pretty much every other Crow book that came out before IDW got their hands on it. Most of these are not good. I have them, I read them, I know them. By the way, I also have one of these in here, The Crow Skinning the Wolves, written by James O'Barr. Just make this into a fucking movie already. It's The Crow versus Nazis. That's a no-brainer. Money. It's in one little camp. Like, it's cheap, it's easy to make, it's badass, everyone will love it. Fuck you, Hollywood. What's wrong with you? And then, of course, you have stuff like this. Action figures, you know? You have your general action figures. This is the Reflections pack. And I wasn't happy with just buying the Crow figures, so I ended up just making my own. To cut to the chase here, I'm a bit of a fan. The original Crow comic book is my literal favorite comic of all time, and the movie with Brandon Lee, the original, was a movie that I saw when I was like 8 years old, way before I probably should have seen it, but yet it was a movie that changed my life forever. The Crow soundtrack was the first rock and roll album I ever owned, which introduced me to a crapload of bands that I still love to this day. So suffice it to say that the Crow franchise is a relatively big deal to me, and that is why people have been asking my opinion on it, and that is fair. However, people were asking me when the original photo, the first look, came out. And I didn't really have a lot to say, because it's photos, man, you know? Like, some of the shots that weren't him in the makeup and stuff had very, kind of atmospheric elements that I enjoyed, and the framing was good. So, like, as a photo, fucking cool. And then whenever it comes to him in his outfit, it's like, yes, the comparisons people are making to him looking like Jared Leto's Joker, I see it. I don't like it. But I understand where it comes from. Weirdly, in the same way that I understand how they got to the Jared Leto Joker look, I understand where they got to this, So it's like they wanted to update the idea of Eric being a musician from the original film, so they made him into like a kind of Post Malone type character, okay? And okay, I get it, I see it, oh, that's fine. My big problem with this, and it's something that you'll hear me reiterate throughout this, is that that's not Eric Draven. And it's not just that it doesn't look like Eric Draven, even though that's a big part of it, but when I look at that picture, it doesn't feel evocative of anything from the original graphic novel or from the original film, except for the eyes and the mouth. But yet still, it's just a photo. It's just a photo. And the movie could still be really good even if he looks like that. Here's the thing, okay, and this is like my main thesis of this video, but I'm going to hit all the points. The problem and the big backlash to this movie is not so much that that look sucks, kind of does, but that's not really the real problem. It's not that in of itself it's bad, necessarily. The problem is, it's not Eric and Shelley's story. Like, if you showed me this first picture of him in the makeup and told me that you were doing The Crow Wild Justice as an adaptation, I would still be interested after seeing this. In the comics, the Crow's not like a superhero. Okay, the Crow is literally the fucking bird. The character we follow is an avatar who is brought back by the Crow. So yeah, like, if this was just a new installment, they were just like, okay, we're doing a reboot, but we're not remaking the original story. It's just another Crow. We're going to use the mythology as a framework and kind of start our own new thing. And like, if you want it to be in canon, it can be, and it doesn't have to be, you know? It doesn't have to be in the same universe. Yeah, sure, maybe, whatever you want. It doesn't matter. We're doing our own thing over here. Then a lot of people, myself included, probably would go along for that ride. But whether it be the book or whether it be the movie, we have a very specific understanding of the look, feel, and tone of Eric and Shelley's story. And what this movie is giving us does not look to be that. And that is where we're going to segue into talking about the actual trailer. Alright, we're going to get into this. But before I do really get into it, I do want to mention a few positive things about my reaction to this trailer, because I feel like that's important. Obviously, there's a lot of us who aren't thrilled about this, but especially coming from a filmmaking background, I feel like it is necessary to appreciate the things that are interesting or theoretically could be good. The cast. The cast in general, I think, is a great cast. You have a lot of really talented people. Skarsgård is a good pick for the Crow, and even for Eric Draven, if we were actually doing the Eric Draven that we all know. But it's not just because he was Pennywise. It's not just because he can be creepy. Like, he is a good actor who has good charisma and a very good, like, physical sense about him. And I'm not going to dive deep into the rest of the cast, because that's not really why we're here, but yeah, like the rest of the cast, there's a lot of great actors in this movie. That's phenomenal. That's what you want in this kind of reboot of a franchise, is to, like, maybe not stunt cast it necessarily, but to fill it full of people, recognizable faces, so that when people who don't even know the original franchise watch your trailer, they're going to go, oh, hey, I know that guy. He was good in like 9 movies I've seen, and it adds to the reason for people to want to go see it. The cast is great. Point 2. I don't think I did point 1, but this is point 2, apparently, with that weird voice. So, the cinematography looks really nice, for the most part. Now, I am familiar with this filmmaker's work, and this is very similar to the kind of visual tones and styles that I've seen him work in before. I didn't like those movies either, but he can create a very visually appealing image. Now, the problem I seem to find in his actual movies is that from scene to scene, the cohesion of that visual image is just almost non-existent. Like, sometimes there are good transitions from one to the point is, the movie looks visually nice in terms of the way it was shot. The lighting's good. It seems like it's always in focus. The frames are nice. That's great stuff. Some of the action sequences look legitimately cool. Mind you, almost every single one of them that we see in the trailer seems to be ripped off from another movie, but those movies did them well. So this one, if it does the ripoff good, they'll look cool. I swear, I didn't come into this video thinking I was going to be an asshole, but, you know, whatever. Whiskey. What else? There's gotta be something else. Come on, nerds. There's gotta be something. What the fuck else? There's gotta be something else good. Nah, fuck it. Alright, let's get into it. So, this trailer does not make me excited for this movie. I don't know if you could pick up on that from my drunken ramblings up until this point, but that's the reality of it. And while other people have made a lot of critiques of the trailer, most of them just going, "That sucks!" I'm going to go through some points. So, first off, you know how I said that, like, it looks pretty good, like visually speaking, but a lot of this director's movies don't have any cohesion? Well, yeah, you can see that in this fucking trailer. This doesn't look like one movie. When you look at this trailer, this looks like 10 music videos that have been stitched together, which I understand is a style for trailers. But I've also seen this director's movies, and that's what his movies look like and feel like too. And beyond that, while the frames themselves look good and the images themselves look good, this movie is very well lit. And what I mean by that is that if you watch any of the Crow films, or read any of the books, and pretty much indulge in anything from the franchise other than Crow Stairway to Heaven, the TV show starring Mark Dacascos, you're going to see that the Crow is bathed in shadow, the whole atmosphere of it. It creates a world of darkness that allows you to feel like you're in this dangerous world. This movie is well lit all the way through. Sure, there'll be dark tones of blues, and there'll be high saturation with ambers and stuff, but you can see everything. There are no deep shadows most of the time. And the other thing that kind of fucks up my whole thing about it overall looking good is that within these frames, every bit of CGI is absolute trash. And yeah, it's a trailer. It could get better by the time the actual movie comes out. But we're talking about the trailer right now, not the actual movie. And again, I've seen this director's other movies, and considering how much faith it seems like the people behind this movie actually have in it and how much integrity is in it, I don't think those effects are going to get any better. But they are just inexcusably bad. Now, in some of the scenes when they're doing more surreal stuff, where I think he's underwater, it looks almost, did you see Madam Web? It's the scene from Madam Web where the web breaks through the windshield and grabs her. It looks exactly the same. By which, I mean, it looks like trash! But within the context of doing a surreal weird dream sequence, I could probably let it go. But then, pretty much any other scene where we see blood, it is some of the worst CGI blood that I've seen in a movie since, I want to say, maybe 2012. Or maybe earlier. I think I literally have some better free digital blood effects on my computer. But it is really distracting within these scenes of where you're supposed to be seeing absolute chaos and carnage, but what you're seeing is cartoon blood popping up all over the place. And there's a couple of places where it looks like they used real blood, but those same scenes then are enhanced with CGI blood, and it just looks awful. And as I said, with the fight scenes, a lot of them look really cool, but about 75% of them are just taken from other things. We get the Deadpool SUV fight in the trailer. I can't even remember them all now. I just remember as I'm watching through the trailer, and I watched the trailer 3 times, but it's so fucking forgettable. There's 3 or 4 moments that are cool that you remember, and the rest is just gone. But yeah, there's almost every single fight scene I saw, I was that's Deadpool, that's John Wick, that's, this or that. It's but none of it felt authentic to the piece itself. And Skarsgård is great in all those little action beats. And as I was saying, some of them are really good fights, but you have all this CGI blood thrown around. Specifically, there's the scene where he is going up the stairs and they're shooting at him, and it's the pinnacle of all the things I've been griping about so far, where it's overlit, so it doesn't really look very dramatic, even though it is objectively a cool scene. There's what looks like squibs on him that are then enhanced by CGI blood, or maybe he just, I don't know. It looks really bad and cheap and fake, okay? And so it's you took something that was so cool and made it the shittiest version of that you could possibly make it. Same thing with, there is this dope moment. It is the dopest moment in the trailer where, a dude stabs him through the back and he shoots himself through the chest and kills that dude, and then we see him pull the frickin' sword out, and it looks so fake that it just removes like 50% of the coolness, which, like, keep in mind, it's still fucking cool. I will give the trailer that. That moment, that's dope as fuck. Even removing 50% of the dopeness from that, you still have a legitimately dope moment that makes me go like, I might watch the movie just for that. Kind of like how I watched Batman vs. Superman just for the warehouse fight. I don't know. And, you know I'm probably not, like, really the person who should be addressing this, but I haven't really seen it addressed anywhere else. And so, okay, like, I totally get that you want a more diverse cast, and don't worry, I'm not going where you think I'm going. And you don't want your bad guys maybe to be the people of color, because that's not really the way you want to diversify it. I'm fine with the Shelley change. But why have we replaced Skeleton Cowboy with, like, the tropiest, stereotypical, magical person of color character? Like, to act as his Yoda? That seems counterproductive to me. Again, maybe I'm not the person to address it. I'm sure all the angry people, all out of the 33 people who watched this video, the angry ones will tell me in the comments. Like, I'm not the person to address it, but somebody should! Because not only is it removing, like, an important element from the comic that got left out of the original movie, but also it's playing into stereotypes and racial tropes. And that doesn't seem like the best way to diversify your movie. I don't know. Oh, fuck. Alright, well, I'm canceled now. Anyway, look, let's just cut through it, because literally everything else that could be said, people have already said. I'm just going to jump to the main point of this, and I kind of mentioned this earlier. We have multiple versions of Eric's story, and from that story there has been a tone, a theme, and significant iconography that has been established for that character. And when we look at the photos and the trailer and even read the interviews from the director about this film, all of those things are missing. And as I said earlier, the Crow doesn't have to be Eric. It can be anybody. And you could make any movie. The movie that this is could be fine, because here's the thing. Even if it's not great, all it has to do is be as good or better than The Crow City of Angels, and people will appreciate it. But because you shoehorned in Eric and Shelley, which are the only elements of the original story that survive, because that's where the fucking money is in your minds as producers, that is what's killing it. This might actually not be a horrible Crow movie, but they poisoned the fucking well. I've been saying for years, if you watch that playlist that I pointed out earlier, In the Shadow of Eric Draven, the whole point of that is the mistake is trying to retell Eric's story. The original Crow book was made from a place of true tragedy and true pain, and that seeped into the artistry of it, into every page, and that is why it is so incendiary. That's why it is so engrossing to those of us who connect with it. And the original film, while it has all those themes brought from the book, the tragic death of Brandon Lee added that same level of care and love and pain in the actual film, and it supercharges it. You will never get that again. Those are lightning in a bottle moments that came from pure expressions of true human emotion, of the human experience, of things that, like, the rawest parts of people laid bare in art for the world to see. That is why those are special. That is why those caught on. And if you just try to use the bare minimum elements to go, yep, it's the same thing, people will fucking reject it, which is exactly what has happened. It's so sad, because The Crow actually is a franchise that would be easy to make tons of sequels and have each of those sequels do well. But every single time, whether it's Crow City of Angels, where they just replicate all the major plot beats and the structure of the original movie, or whether it's The Crow Salvation, where they just literally get the actor to try to pretend to be Brandon Lee for half the movie, or The Crow Stairway to Heaven, where you get a very inexperienced actor trying to live up to that. Like, it doesn't matter what you do, it's never gonna be that thing. Fuck! And like, you read the interviews with the fucking director, and he talks about adding more depth to the characters, and like fleshing them out, and now, oh, Shelley has a dark past, and maybe Eric can save her through his revenge. And it's like, you totally missed the whole point of the story. Like, not only are you disregarding everything that made the original great, but you just completely missed the point. You missed what makes that story, that version of the story, special. You can take any other version and just turn it into your generic revenge action film with an immortal, impervious, badass murdering everyone. They tried to make that movie with Mark Wahlberg, with Jason Momoa, with tons of actors, and every time some people were interested, but most of us didn't care because it was supposed to be Eric Draven, and you're just like, no, you missed the point. I don't know what else to fucking say anymore. I think I'm done now. I don't know, man. Like, I'm a big fan of this franchise, and I would love to see more movies done with it. Like, there are a million Crow movies. You could do The Crow versus Nazis, female-led action movies are still really big right now. There's multiple versions of The Crow where the Avatar is a woman. You could tell that story. And the thing is, most of those stories are, they're not as well known as the original. You could kind of take that framework and do anything with them. But you just keep shitting in the well. You just keep poisoning it. You just keep diluting the specialness of that original thing for the sake of a paycheck. And I think that is the thing that is turning people off the most. They can tell that it's not a sincere retelling of this story. It's not a sincere attempt to bring James O'Barr's vision to life. It's just treating The Crow like it's a property farm. And that sucks, because out of all the comic book movies out there, and as crazy as the story of The Crow is, it's one of the most human. It's one of the most relatable in a lot of ways. To remove the humanity from the process of crafting something that is supposed to be about humanity, that's disgusting. And I feel like even the people who can't articulate that, or the people who don't rationalize it as that, people who are fans of the originals who just have this gut reaction that no, that's wrong. That's why. So yeah, fuck it. Will I see the movie? Probably. I mean, yeah, sure. I own The Crow Wicked Prayer. Fuck yeah, I'm gonna see the goddamn movie. Will I own it? I don't know. Probably not. Maybe. Again, it could be a cool movie on its own right, but it could be any movie. It could be any generic movie. But us Crow fans are kind of used to that at this point. And as a wise man once said, it can't rain all the time, and that's too fucking cheesy to end on, but you know what? I'm tired. It's 5 in the morning. I'm drunk. I'm sweating through my beanie, and my cigarette's almost out, so we're going to bring this video to a close. But yeah, those are my thoughts, my very random drunken thoughts on The Crow 2024. But, children of the screen, let me know down in the comments below, what did you think about the original photos? What did you think about the trailer? And are you excited for the movie? And understand that just because I think it sucks, I don't expect you to think it sucks. You might think it looks really cool and you're interested. Maybe you've never seen one of the Crow movies before and you're kind of down for this. That's cool too, man. Just like with Batman or Superman, every person from a different generation has a different introduction to these characters and they mean different things to them. So that's why I'm interested to know. Put it down there. Anyway, children on the screen, thank you very much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Despite, this. So, I will see you guys in the next one. I hope you all have a good one. Nerd Scum. Out.
Good speech, sir. I didn't want to interrupt you. It sounded good. You gotta write that shit down.
Right, smart ass.